he was threatening my family, threatening my existence, got my cards blocked. I don't know what's going on. Like, he was being quite aggressive with me on the phone. He felt that because I was a woman, he could tread on my toes and he could, get away with things that he probably wouldn't have been able to get away with.
How did you manage to find the funds to pay the rent?
You're paying £9,000 for the student loan. Utilize the heck out of them.
Where can I find these properties to rent out?
Honestly, how I found my first property was actually through Gumtree.
How many no's did you get before securing your first ever property?
Oof. Honestly, like, I can't even put the number of no's, but there was a lot of no's.
If I was to start from scratch, how do I go about investing into property?
Start speaking to landlords, start speaking to tenants, start speaking to estate agents, just building rapport with them, and then just securing that first deal.
Can anyone do it?
I think anyone can do it, but not everyone will.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 14 of the FMU Founders Mindset Unfiltered podcast. I am joined here today with a guest who is diving deep into the world of property. At such a young age, she has been able to conquer property, mainly focusing on Airbnb and rent to rent. However, it doesn't stop there. She also had a networking marketing business and is currently planning to get into digital marketing and content creation. On top of all of this, she is also a final year pharmacy student, balancing an incredibly full on schedule, yet still finds a way to make it work on both ends. Guys, without further ado, I would love to welcome Blessing Okeke onto the podcast. Blessing, it's lovely to have you join us today.
Hey everyone.
How have you been?
I've been okay. I've been good. Thank you. Yeah.
Busy.
Very, very busy. The schedule every week, every Sunday, you just have to just plan out your week so then you can get all the things done. So it's going well. Wednesday anyway.
But let's get right into it then. Many people think short-term rentals ruin communities. What do you say to the neighbors that hate what you do?
I would say to the neighbors that hear what I do that we're actually adding to the community. We're bringing people from working professional actually, because the people that I host in my Airbnbs are mostly working professionals that are working in the area, like contractors or people that's just come for the weekend for a conference or training from a different area. Or we sometimes also accommodate families that are coming to see their loved ones in the city that needs a place to stay. So we're really just adding to the community really, because it's like sometimes you're just used to the same people, and I feel like having a short-term rental where people are staying for maybe a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and then there's a new batch of people. So even if you did get one batch of bad people, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get another batch of bad people. Like, it's just a constantly new people coming in.
And you might as well change it up a little bit over time.
Exactly.
There's no harm in it.
Exactly. And I think with short-term rental, people don't know is that there's a lot of management that goes into it. I don't just allow guests to come into the property and there's no communication, there's no monitoring when it comes to the noise, or I'm not monitoring exactly how many people are actually entering the property. There's a lot of policies, there's a lot of rules that they have to follow. So in a way, they are almost like regulating and making sure that they're not disturbing other people. So there's a lot of things that go into short term.
There's a lot of things that goes behind the scenes to make sure the family or the people that are accommodated are suitable for the area.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Blessing, how long have you been in property for?
It was ever since I was 19. So just at the end of first year of university, that's when I actually delved into property for the first time.
What actually made you decide to go into it? Being a first year student, for me personally, I just finished first year and I had no time for any side hustles. I had no time, it had to be uni. So what made you kind of decide to go into that?
I had two thought processes. I am somebody that's a very much like a homebody. So I just felt like I was going to uni, coming back, like, seeing friends, seeing my boyfriend at the time. But I just felt that, is this it? Like, I just asked, like, is this it? Like, I will come back and then I'll have so much free time, and though I had nothing to do during that free time. And I'm I do like extracurricular activities, but they would only take up like 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours a week. So I just had to find something to basically fill out the void, fill out the space that I had. And the second thought process was that I'm Nigerian, and a lot of people that are Nigerian will probably know that, especially your family that's probably back home, they kind of rely on people that's in Europe and in the UK or wherever you are, as long as you're not in Africa, and they do tend to rely on you a lot. And I was raised up by a single mom as well, and I just know the struggles and the things that she has to go through to make that money to help support them. And I just felt that, like, they weren't seeing the struggles. And I went to Nigeria in December 2022 for a month, and that's when I was seeing everything. It was like my eyes open. I'm just like, how's everyone relying on my mom? Do you know how much she's struggling back in the UK? And that was just the push and the fire that I needed to look into a side hustle that's going to make me extra income, so I can better support my mom and better help support her with her family as well. So that was the push that I needed. And through the use of social media, that's when I bumped into short-term rentals and rent to rent. So yeah.
Supporting the family, especially at such a young age as 19, building in that mindset, is that not a lot of pressure?
It was a lot of pressure, but I think what I started off with is finding a way to kind of, um, I would say, support myself first. And when I had that foundation, had that basis where I know that, okay, this is the amount of money that I would need to be making every single month so I can support myself first. And then that's when you look into supporting other people. Like, you can't support other people without looking at yourself first. So that's what I started off with. Like, I calculated the basically the minimum amount I would need every single month extra to make sure that I'm okay, and then anything further, anything that I can do, I will support.
That is a great way to look at it. Always gonna put me first. That is just the way it works.
No, of course.
How come you went to you decided to go into rent to rent? What is it about rent to rent?
Well, at first, I looked into rent to rent, like, but doing it internationally. And I found that idea so sick. I was watching videos. Like, the thing about your algorithm, if you just watch one video and you stay on that video for long, trust me, there will be videos flooding your page about that topic. And that's exactly what happened. I watched one video, signed up for a webinar where the woman talked about doing rent to rent and service accommodation internationally. And that's where I was stuck, and I wanted to do it full force, but I was like, I'm 19, how am I ever going to be able to manage a rent to rent internationally? So I thought, okay, as I'm in Birmingham, Birmingham is quite a, a very popping city. A lot of people come here for different events. I remembered at that time there was an event that was going on in the NEC that a lot of people came to. I forgot the event, but if it comes to me, I'll later say. But um, so there was just a lot of things that were just happening in Birmingham. So I'm just like, of course, if a lot of people are coming to Birmingham, they will need a place to stay for a short time period. So That's where I think.
So sometimes you genuinely just have to catch that opportunity. As soon as you see it, you just go for it.
Exactly, exactly.
Do you only focus on rent to rent, or do you do rent to service accommodation now as well?
Yeah, so I've actually started off with rent to service accommodation.
Oh, great.
But as time went on, I noticed that this some of the properties that I invested in, the location wasn't the best, and I wish that I focused just on the properties that are close in um proximity to the city center. And whereas there's some properties that I invested in that was a little bit further than to the city center. So then I had to change strategies after a while, after seeing that okay, this strategy is not working, it's really quite beneficial. Let me just change the strategy. And the strategy is pretty simple. You just as rent to service accommodation, you probably furnish the property, make it top notch, look very nice, and then rent to rent is just later renting it to a long term tenant that's probably going to stay there for 6, 12 months and going to still give you that same guaranteed rent every single month.
How was that journey? Making that transition in strategy. How was that journey been? What's the hardest thing about it?
The hardest thing is that I feel like when you put your heart and all your energy to a certain project and it probably just doesn't work out the way that you expect it to, is that mindset shift. Is just thinking that actually you never failed. It's just you just need to try again, but in a different way. And just accepting that, things are just probably not gonna work out the way you wanted to, but just learning from it. I always looked at things in a positive light. Luckily, I have my mom as one of my biggest support systems. So even when things will be stressing me out, I'll speak to her and, let her know my worries. And she will just reassure me that Blessing, you're still doing a very good job. Um, just let's see how next time or next property you can work at it a little bit differently.
That's a big lesson to everyone listening. If anything goes wrong, you always got your mum. Always got your mum telling you what to do, leading you through every decision. You'll be okay. Listen, bless him. One thing that I actually do want to know is where did you get the funds to pay the initial rent slash deposit, especially with being a uni student. I mean, speaking from my own experiences, I'm a uni student. I can't even afford to live for myself. So, how did you manage to find the funds to pay the rent?
It basically started during first year. Um, Anyone that's in first year as a first year student, really utilize your university. You're paying £9,000 for the student loan. Utilize the heck out of them. So I just remember there's this one time I had two lectures that day, and in between I was like, should I go home or should I just go to the library and just chill? So I went to the library and chilled instead of going all the way back to my accommodation instead to still come back again. And I went to the library and it was open. Normally it's closed and it was open and I saw so many different companies like there, and I found out that it was actually a careers fair going on. And another thing that uni students don't really do is check their emails. So they actually emailed us about this careers fair, but because we didn't check our emails, we didn't know anything about it. So I went to the into the library, and I was looking around, and then I see a pop up saying Peak Pharmacy, and I study pharmacy, so I'm just like, okay, great, let me have a look. So she gave me this little poster, and it had the email and to apply for a summer placement. So what I did was I basically revised my CV because I've never worked in a pharmacy before I started studying pharmacy. So I just revised my CV, tailored it to like that specific job title, which is just a pharmacy student. So I just used the fact that I've worked as a caterer before. I had worked in Nando's. I had worked as a personal assistant. So I just tailored all those skills and all those attributes that I learned from those jobs. and I tailored it to how I would be good as a pharmacy student or a pharmacy technician. And that's what I did. I wrote a personal statement. It was like a cover letter as well. I wrote a cover letter and a CV, and I just sent it off to the email. And luckily, they did accept me. So they accepted me, and then I started like 2 weeks after I finished first year of university. However, because I mentioned I have a single mom, so I don't really like to rely on her when it comes to money. So I kept my weekend job, which was the catering job that I had. And initially, the summer placement was trying to make me work from Monday to Friday, but it wasn't going to be possible if I was going to also keep my weekend job, which was Saturday and Sundays. I was contracted. So we just made an agreement that I work Monday to Thursday, half day, and then I work Saturday and Sunday. So I did that for um almost 3, 4 months, which is the break that we normally get in between years, like year one and year two. So I basically just worked the two jobs. I lived off one job and I saved the other job.
See, and another thing is that you might be bringing in the money, but you know how hard it is being a uni student. There's stuff. There's you have to pay rent on your accommodation. You have to pay for food, for bills, and sometimes even if you have worked that much, that money just drains out straight away.
So that's why I did it during the summer.
Right. Oh, so you wouldn't. Okay.
I wasn't paying rent. I was actually staying at my mom's house. And the most I would do at that time was just help her with the groceries. So that's where all my money was going to. So helping out with the groceries, living off of one paycheck and just saving the rest. And that's what I did for throughout the summer of year one. I worked the two jobs and I saved up a whole bunch of money and I started my first project.
That's what I love to hear. Have you ever had to cover a landlord's guaranteed rent out of your own pocket when rental income fell short?
Yes, I have. And that's why it's good to have. Yes, you might be wanting to start a business, but you also have like a business emergency fund. So in case something goes wrong, you still have some money to basically help you combat that period, that void period they call it, where it might be in between tenants or you're just having a really difficult tenant that saying, "Oh, I will just pay." Rent is due on the first, by the way. And on that first, they're saying, "Oh, something's wrong with my bank. I'll pay you on the 6th, or I'll pay you on the 9th, or I'm getting a payment on the 13th. That's when I'll pay you." And I'm just like, I have an agreement with you and I have an agreement with the landlord. And the landlord is expecting on the first. So as I keep my word and as a business professional needs to do, I have to pay the rent out of my pocket sometimes until they can reimburse me. And I just do that.
What do you actually say in that conversation when you get someone that you're renting out to and they call you saying that they can't pay rent? What do you say to them?
There's it's just those awkward conversations like, "Oh, I wish that you told me a little bit earlier so then I can," but it's what can you do? Like when they can't pay you, there's there's nothing you can do unless you come into an agreement and be like, "Okay, can you at least pay half today and then, pay the other half another day?" Or like just coming into an agreement that helps you feel a little bit comfortable and the person can still at least pay something instead of nothing.
And also, it allows you to pre-plan as well, just in case anything does go wrong.
Exactly.
Even that extra week of them letting you know, it can go a long way. It can do. It can do. Blessing, where can I find these properties to rent out?
So you can find honestly, how I found my first property was actually through Gumtree. I got the number from, so when you search up properties on Gumtree, then you tailor the location to like the location that you're in. So I put Birmingham, and I will sometimes be even more specific and be like 3-bedroom flat or 2-bedroom flat, Birmingham. And then sometimes the landlords or the agents will add their number to the description. I will call them up, and with that, the first ever property that I went into, I basically was just consistent with the landlord. At first, he wasn't really buying my idea, but the fact that I kept calling him every 3 days, checking up on the property. So when the property was actually finally ready for viewings, I was one of the first people to come out for the viewing. So it's just consistency, honestly. And so I would say Gumtree, I would say Open Rent, I would say word of mouth as well. Like the third property that I embarked on, it was actually the guy who was installing the TV on the wall. He was just fitting it on the wall, and I was just telling him about the business, how I started, and I grabbed his number. And a few months later, he called me and he was like, "Oh, I told my friend about your business. Like, he has a property available, and would you be able to come and see it?" And I was just like, "Yes."
You know what? So sometimes word of mouth is actually the best way to advertise.
No, it is. So just speaking to people about the business. I also used to go to networking events. So I have received a few deals from people that I met there who are deal sourcers as well, or who are actually like property managers, property investors as well. And sometimes if you build a good rapport with that person, they might not take it, but they might hand it over to you because they know you and they've spoken to you and they know that you're a genuine person.
Let's say you find a property then. I think we all know that before you buy it, you have to do your research on the property. And there's a ton of stuff that goes into it. So what kind of due diligence do you do before reaching out to that landlord and making that call that you wanna buy it?
So there's a lot of things that you can actually search up online. The first thing I check is actually the location as well. I check for the EPC rating. I check for just the area in general, if there's like schools, if there's public transport, if the property can accommodate parking as well, which is can be quite important for your guests. Um and I utilize social media as well if I'm not familiar with the area. Whereas when I was looking in Birmingham, I was quite familiar with different areas, the no-go areas and the yes areas. And so I knew exactly if what postcode to go for and what postcode not to go for. So doing your due diligence is quite important, even if maybe before the viewing you want to just drive down there just to check around, see if the place is a little bit dirty, or see if it's actually going to be suitable for your guests, because at the end of the day, you don't want to bring guests in and they're complaining and saying that they don't feel safe. Like that's the worst complaint you can have, is that the area that you invested in is not a safe area.
Just for the audience listening at home, what is the EPC rating?
The EPC is like the gas rating for the property. So I think they rate it like a B, C, D, E. So you will most likely want to go for the A, rating B.
Blessing, how do you deal with landlord pushback?
Pushback in what sense?
As in when you're trying to buy a property from a landlord, you're in contact with them, and you know they're just not cooperating with you as nicely as you expect.
So as I'm as I'm not buying the property, I'm actually renting the property, but just longer period of time. I think that kind of like catches their attention. The fact that I'm not renting it for a 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I'm guaranteeing you rent for 5, 6, 7 years. Like that's something that should normally catch the landlord's attention. Um, Another pushback I would say is that I'm actually adding value to the property. Because sometimes I've invested into property where the property was a little bit run down and did need some tender love and care, and did need a fresh lick of paint, did need some new carpets, did need some new to fix maybe the electricity. There's just quite a few things that just needed to be done in the property to get up to scratch. So then I kind of tell the landlord, okay, I'm going to raise up the value of your property. So then if you are ever thinking of selling the property after our agreement, then you're more than able to, because now your property would have increased in value. And I also mentioned about the guaranteed rent, like, and I will mention to them, yes, I'm not going to guarantee that a tenant is not going to pay me rent, but I'm going to guarantee that my company is going to pay you rent every single month. And I would also mention about when, if for example, um, a tenant is in arrears and is not paying you rent, you will need to get a notice from the government to basically to get them out of the property, which can, and that process normally takes up to 3 months. Whereas in the agreement that me and the landlord would have is that if I don't pay the rent in 2 weeks, you can return. That's your property. You can take the property back. So those are the things that you can add to the contract to have, combat any pushbacks.
Do you typically have to spend a lot on this refurbishment? You know, when you find that accommodation that does need that good tender love and care, needs that extra lick of paint, how much roughly do you spend?
I would say it depends on how rundown the property is, but the most rundown property I've probably worked on, it did take up to like £2,000-3,000 to get it up to scratch, and then when you add the rent and the deposit, that's when it maybe adds up to that £5,000-6,000.
Right, so it is a lot of time and it is also a lot of money that goes into this. People are underestimating. Unfortunately, in this t this around how do you say, this generation in a way, an unfortunate thing is gender bias, and that can be seen in property, in obviously your industry, property. When you're trying to talk to a landlord and you might see that they've realized that you're a girl or a woman, and they might have some sort of agenda against it. Have you ever experienced gender bias during conversation with landlords?
Luckily, I actually haven't. I've actually used the fact that I'm a female to kind of get rise above that, because I feel like the most I was mostly scared about is was actually my age. So I never actually used to disclose my age in the beginning. I would never tell them that, okay, by the way, I'm 19. Like, I would never tell them that. So I kind of use that to my advantage, because I always felt though that when I would speak to landlords, like they'll feel more comfortable and more reassured by what I would be saying to them than if it was maybe coming from a guy that's just saying, yeah, I'll get that done for you, like just unbothered. Like I will show that care, I will show that like passion, I will show that like energy that maybe a man might not provide, like be able to give. So I always used it as my advantage. I never like came across any bias before. Yeah, I've never come across it, to be honest, but I know some people do.
Yes, it is unfortunate, but luckily you used it in the great way, and you flip. You know what? You flipped it on. You flipped it the other way. That's an amazing thing. Blessing, how many no's did you get before securing your first ever property?
Oof. When you see talk about it's very beautiful, honestly, like I can't even put the number of no's, but there was a lot of no's. I used to have this notebook that because during the time when I was saving up for the initial investment, I would like write names of like different agencies, real estate agencies and landlords numbers, and then I will call them either during my break or during after work as well, just to, build up that list of contacts, so then when I did have the money, like I'm unstoppable. So I did receive a lot of no's. I did receive a lot of maybe I'll think about it, and did receive a lot of like, why should I trust you? Like, and if anything, that really instilled a lot of confidence that I pretty much needed. I feel like a lot of maybe uni students or just students in general don't hear no a lot. And when they do hear no, maybe in the future, they probably wouldn't know how to, deal with it or know how to like, move past it. Whereas because I received a lot of no's, it kind of like, I don't know, it's like the energies just started building up on me and just like, okay, if it's no and they ask me a question that I probably didn't have much knowledge about it, I'll now reflect and just learn and just come back even stronger. So
For a lot of people, hearing constant no's, it'll knock them down. It'll kill them off. But for you, it kind of lit a fire inside, and you carried on going, and you carried on thriving. What was it? What was in the back of your head that made you want to carry on?
because I've always focused on the brighter future. I always focused on the end goal. And what really helps me was the fact that I remember that I called up one estate agency that I found on TikTok, and I remember that he just listened to my pitch because I had a pitch and everything. He listened to my pitch and he basically told me that I'm sorry, I don't have any properties for you, but I really, really like your confidence. And he basically told me to see him at his office. And his name is Hanad, and he has a company called Botan and Co. And he invited me to his office. We spoke and we just built like a friendship and a working relationship. And I used to actually go to his office, and even when I was hear the no's, I would turn around and be like, what did I do wrong? And he's just like, that's just life. Like, and he would continuously encourage me. And I feel like that he was always in the back of my mind and be like, Besson, continue, continue. Even if they say no, save their number, make a note on your notebook or make a note on your notes, to know what they said or why they said no. Is it just the wrong time? Is it just is it just what you proposed to them at first, or is it your lack of experience, or whatever it is? Just save the number and just keep on. Don't allow the previous no to affect the next call. So he was in my ear constantly, and I'm forever grateful because through his guidance, through his knowledge as well, that's how I was able to, get that first property.
One thing that I've learned over doing this podcast is that as many no's as you go through, always treat the next one as your first. That is the key to success, which you've done. You've carried on going.
No, exactly. Like, I can't imagine if maybe after the 10th or the 20th, no, if I had stopped, like, I just wouldn't have achieved nothing. I would have been still in the same position. But eventually, after a couple of months of hearing a lot of no's, that's when I started getting yeses, yeses, yeses. And then now, if I ever approach a landlord, they're probably more familiar about the whole the rent to rent, the rent to service accommodation, how it works. Whereas before, what I noticed is that I was actually explaining to landlords how it actually works because they were not familiar with it. And as I was quite knowledgeable about it, and that's an important thing. Like, don't go into a business and you just don't know anything about it. Like, if someone wants to ask you questions, you're not able to answer anything. Like, that doesn't really show that you're actually invested in the property, in the business. Sorry. So, what I used to do, I used to research in my own time about the whole business. So, if someone was to throw a question at me, I'll be able to answer. So
Listen, we've all heard of property horror stories. We've heard it all. Nightmare guests, damaged walls, the lot. What's your worst experience?
okay, well, my worst experience was a guy who rented one of my flats. He was like a rent to rent type of tenant. He was only renting it for 6 months, right? And at first it was fine. We signed the contract, he paid his deposit, the first month's rent, everything was fine. And then when it came to the nearing to the next payment, like, he started to show signs that I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, he was being quite aggressive with me on the phone. He was like threatening to change the locks because he had lost his keys, and he believed that somebody would like come into his house. And I'm just like, you can't change the locks without the landlord's permission. Like, what are you doing? Like, he was just showing signs. And unfortunately, he did not tell me that he suffered with mental health, like bipolar disorder. So when I was as the time went on, he just became more aggressive, like sending me 20, 30 messages in one go. Like, he was threatening my family, threatening my existence, got my cards blocked, reported me to a CCJ, like that I owed him £2,000. I don't know where that £2,000 he was talking about came from. It was a lot, like, and it really just like really decreased my self-esteem. Like, I wasn't able to sleep at night. I was thinking like it was just horrible. And on top of that, I'm having to show up to university like everything is fine. And it's a really like dark patch, but I was able to conquer it. And now the tenants who are living there are amazing. They pay my rent on time. If there's any problems, we solve it straight away. Like, there's not really much confrontation. Like, I'm not a confrontational person. So when that was happening, it was quite a lot, because I'm like, what do I do? Do I stay calm, or do I have to be like, kind of like make him know that just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that you can mess me about. And I think actually I said no previously, but now I'm thinking I received that from a tenant instead of a landlord. That bias. He felt that because I was a woman, he could tread on my toes, and he could, get away with things that he probably wouldn't have been able to get away with a guy. Like, with a guy who's managing a property, you probably wouldn't message him 20, 30 times, but you feel like you can do that to a woman.
I was gonna say I was expecting, maybe some damaged walls or a broken door handle, but that's genuinely crazy. What do you do in that situation when they're being that aggressive on the phone? Like, you have to make a decision on that spot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like, I tried contacting the police, but because the police said it's like a civil matter, they don't really like to get involved. And I actually had to get the landlords involved. And normally I'm like, I'm supposed to be managing your property, be okay, but I just want to let you know that this is the type of tenant that it's staying at your property, and it's causing a nuisance to the people around. So like the businesses that was around, the neighbors, he was causing a nuisance. And I now later found out that when he finally moved out after the 6 months, um, that's when I saw the extent of the damage of the property, because he never allowed me to maybe just pop in and just make sure that everything is running smoothly. He just so it was actually at the end, me and the landlords came that same day that he was moving out, and we changed the locks, and we did an inspection. And it was horrible. It was horrible. He acted like he cleaned the property. He never cleaned it. It was just cat litter everywhere. Washing machine was broken. Um, I forgot what it's called, when like burn marks on like toilet seats and on the side, on the cabinets. Like, it was just a lot. So
That is a lot to take in. Wow. And did you mention that the police, what was their opinion on the matter?
it was a civil matter. They just kept telling me civil matter, that deal with it with yourself, like with yourselves. Like, as long as he's not, I think the police only get involved if there's like an actual physical, like alter or something physically going on between both of you. But if it's to do with your property, forget the police. Like, the police, nothing.
Well, what do you think of that? Because I don't understand why they have to wait till it gets to that point to then intervene.
I never like during that time I was really baffled, because I'm like, the first time I'm actually getting the police involved with any something to do with me in general. So whenever I kept hearing it's a civil matter, there's nothing we can do. You just have to wait until the tenancy agreement is done, or if there's actually something physically he's doing. So later on I was able to report the harassment, but that was about it. Like after collating all the um all the messages that he was sending me. And one thing that helped me with that case was the fact that I never responded. Um, when somebody's harassing you, if you kind of like respond to them or kind of like show that you've kind of aggravated them, it doesn't really play a good role in your case. So the fact that they saw that anytime he will message me, I'll probably maybe ignore it, or I would just say, okay, that's fine. How can we work together to come to an agreement? Like I always wanted to just come to an agreement with him, but he just saw me as his enemy.
That is full on enemy, yeah.
Like I'm like, how did I become your enemy? I'm just your property manager. Like, so yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, he's gone now, thank goodness. I wanna know what did you learn from it, and how are you gonna make sure that kind of situation doesn't happen again?
Yeah, so I would I learned that I need to do my due diligence when it comes to like background checks with the type of tenants that coming in to the property. I did not do a background check when it came to him because the the first impression was like, okay, he's good, like, and I was really trying to, which is not good as a business owner, like moving too quickly. I basically wanted him to move in and settle down so then I wouldn't have to cover too much of the void periods because the void period was getting a lot. I think at that point it was the second month that nobody was staying at the property, so I really needed to cover the rent. So when he came around, I was like, okay, let's get the contract sorted. Let's do all the other checks that we need to do. But as for the background check, I didn't get around to doing it. So it just didn't play in my favor when he was actually like a criminal as well. Like there's a lot. Like even the police had to. Uh, Later on, that's when I heard that police were coming to the property. He was on tag as well. So it was a lot that I just didn't know about the tenant, so it was later that I found out. But what I learned is just that perseverance. I learned that I was actually very strong minded because even the day that my card got blocked, I was out just buying things for to renovate the properties, like my other properties. And when I'm not able to pay with the card, I'm confused. I'm like, why happening, and having to use my other card to pay for the things, and then finding out that he had made a claim that I was owing him money. It was like it was a lot, but I learned perseverance. I learned that um I also learned a lot of like people skills. Like I learned that actually like somebody might be harassing you, trying to get a reaction from you, but that doesn't mean that you give that to them. And learning that there's actually some crazy people out there, and just knowing how to handle certain situations. I feel like I wouldn't have known how to handle it until I actually, you know, it happens, and you just have to learn how to adapt. That adaptability was something that I needed to learn. Yeah, there was a lot of things knowing that there's actually people in my corner. So even on that day, my uncle is the security guard, and I got him to come at my uncle because like, uncle, I don't know where this hatred is coming from, but I just need to make sure that I'm okay. And he was on board. He came with me on that day, so to make sure that I was okay. But yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is, guys. If you need help, just ask your uncle to be a bodyguard. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now, I wanna switch it up a little bit. Hmm. Blessing, I wanna know, do you think providers such as Airbnb and Booking.com take advantage of the short-term rental market by charging hosts such as yourself a ridiculous service fee. And I'm pretty sure Airbnb charges, I think it's around 15%.
10%, yeah, 15,
15%.
yeah.
So what's your take on it?
Honestly, what's my take is that they have to make the money. That's all I about it. Like, I just think they have to take the money some way, so forth. Like, you're helping them and they're helping you, so they've got to eat as well. Like, as you're eating, they've got to eat too. So that's how I really think about it. Like, I feel like that service charge can be a little bit lower, but obviously there's different ways to combat it. So even with Airbnb and Booking.com guest, what we used to do is like make a spreadsheet of the details. So then later on we can actually contact them and be like, oh, I hope you enjoyed your stay, or thank you for reviewing the property. If you would like to stay at the property, we can give you a discount. And then, that's basically how you now get like more private bookings outside of the platforms.
Do you think then 15% is reasonable? Is that what you're saying? Okay, 'cause why not 10%? Why not 11? Why 15?
I would say it can be lower, like, if it was 10%, great, but I mean, that's the percent.
That's a game.
Yeah, that's the
That's a
game.
game.
Like, at the end of the day, some people's gotta eat, so as you're using their platform, they have to make some money some way, so like, some way.
One thing that the audience might not know is that previous to your property business, you ran a network marketing business. What is network marketing for the audience?
Network marketing is, in the particular, that network marketing is basically building like a rapport and connections with other individuals, and then basically informing them about a business that you're running, and that for that business to run, you need like a network of people that's in that same business, but it's basically under you. And that's basically what I used to do. Like, I used to go to networking events. I used to talk to um just different people about that specific business model. And if it was something that they were keen on or quite interested in it, then that's when they will actually go through a selection process, or basically an educational um process, where they will be fully informed about the business that I'm running and how it runs, and how we can basically mutually benefit from them joining the business.
I'm sure running your own network marketing business comes with a lot of skills, a lot of skills. But what skills did you transfer from network marketing and apply to property?
So I applied communication skills, like learning how to speak to people, learning how to like articulate yourself, like good body language. I also learned quite a lot of like I would say leadership skills as well. 'Cause
I feel like you get a sense of confidence as well.
exactly. I feel like with network marketing, it's like you kind of you're kind of your own boss. Like with any business anyways, you're kind of your own boss. So it's like you have to kind of manage yourself and know how to manage a team. So that kind of helped when it came to managing a team, when it came to rent, because it's not just me that is like behind the scenes. I obviously have like a cleaner who comes in and communicates with me, um, whether the property is to good standards or to bad standards, is taking pictures. She's basically my eyes when I'm not there. And like, just building that working relationship, that's basically what I had to do when it came to network marketing, building that interpersonal relationships, and just not just thinking that everything is just business, but knowing that people are people and things happen, and sometimes it's out of your control, and just learning to adapt. So there was a lot of things that I was able to transfer from one business to another and vice versa.
We love it. We love it. One thing that I still can't get my head around though is that you're currently doing a 5-year pharmacy course. That is a hard course. That is a long course, and it takes a good person to stick through it. How do you manage your time with being a 5-year pharmacy student and running a business as well at the same time?
So the first thing I would say is calendar planning. A lot of people just think just wake up and they just do whatever, and anything that is not done today might be maybe will be done tomorrow or next week. Like I can't work like that. I have to be very organized with my time. So knowing exactly when my lectures are, um, knowing what I can do and what I can't do during that week, and just really just being able to utilize my time, my free time. So for example, I have if I have university for maybe Monday to Wednesday, then I'll know that okay, Thursday, Friday, I'm free to do X, Y, and Z. So just like that forward planning really, really helps as a student, because as well as that, you can also then plan in your study times, plan in any times that you maybe have an assignment that is due, or maybe catch up with your friends. Just because I run a business doesn't mean I don't have a social life. So catching up with your friends, your partner, just being able to just plan your days, so then you can tell your friends, oh, by the way, I'm free on Friday. If we can plan this ahead, then I will know how to better utilize my time.
I can see based off everything that you've been saying, the amount of time and thought that you've put into all of this. I can see that you're a very determined entrepreneur.
No, thank you.
So why then study pharmacy? Was it to please your parents, to your mom, or is it like a backup option? Why do pharmacy when I know for a fact you like what you do in property and you can see yourself going far?
It was kind of a struggle at first. It was during that second year, because I obviously started property in end of first year. So end of like during second year,
Second year's the worst.
I was honestly just like questioning everything. I'm thinking, why am I here? Like, why even continue with this course? Like, I feel like business is for me. I should continue with business. But um for one, my mom didn't actually select the course. I remember during college, I actually sat down with my form tutor and I told her, I like science. I don't know, medicine is out of the picture because I didn't study biology in A levels. So, what's the other options? And we basically found out that it was either pharmacy, paramedic science, or neuroscience. And at that time, there's no there wasn't a TikTok where I can go on TikTok and just search in the UK and, find out how interesting the profession is. I basically had to just do some Google searches and I found out that pharmacy was the highest paying, and it was the one with the best career progression as well. Um, and the most versatile as well. So that's why I went with pharmacy. Um, and then during that second year, while I was questioning it, I actually spoke to a few of my mentors at the time, saying that I'm actually questioning pharmacy and whether to actually carry it on. And one thing they actually pointed out to me was the fact that I never quit anything that I start. Like I might start something and it might not work out the way I want it to work out, but I'll always maybe put a pause on it and then come back to it later. But I never quit anything. So that's one thing they pointed out. And secondly, they were like, just be open minded. Pharmacy is not just community and hospital. And there's actually other like careers that you can actually go into. And then that's when I started to do my research more on the career progressions in pharmacy. And then I heard about aesthetic pharmacists. I heard about owning your own pharmacy, which the idea excited me. So that's something that I would want to do in the next couple of years, is actually owning my own pharmacy. So from that idea alone, I said, okay, Blessing, just keep at it. And now I'm in my 4th year going into my foundation training next year. So,
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. But, my question was gonna be was that you can be honest. You can be honest. Do you think that you're going to go ahead with after you finish uni? After you finish uni, do you think you're going to go ahead with the pharmacy side of things, or if you're gonna stick with property? But if that is the case where you can just own your own pharmacy, then I guess that's the answer right there.
yeah, it's literally just mixing the two of them. I feel like pharmacy can actually be quite flexible as well. There's something called like locum pharmacy, whereas like a locum pharmacy is where that person actually chooses their own shifts and chooses where they work. And so that's something that I can work around while also running my business, which that was perfect for me. As soon as I heard that you can be a local pharmacist, I was just like, okay, I can carry on, make money from my 9 to 5 while using that to fund any investments or businesses.
I've heard that you also want to do digital marketing and content creation. Why?
Why? So I've always wanted to kind of like make money from just like my day to day. And I never really actually put a lot of thought into it, but I always had my friends in my ear saying, Blessing, I feel like you'll be good in content creating. Like, you make videos, you're quite consistent when you're making, like, recording vlogs while you're traveling or just like your day to day. Why not actually just post those videos and for the world to basically see? And that's where the content creating came about. But when it came to the content creating, I noticed that you can't just make money from just content creating. You kind of have to find other avenues where that's UGC and creating where you basically make content for a brand and you post that on your page and you basically get paid from that, or digital marketing where you're promoting a specific product, whether that's a course, whether that's like some shoes that you just bought and be like, guys, like this is the most comfiest shoes ever, like you guys need to buy, and then adding a link to that specific video, or affiliate marketing. There's just a lot of things that goes into content creating. So I just didn't want to just do content creating. I wanted to do something on the side that can also generate.
Right. With the content creation side, I'm assuming you don't want to bring the property side of it into it, or would you like to? Is that something that you'd want to do?
I'll actually want to, so then can actually find out how I even came about and why I'm here, and the fact that I've always been kind of like business minded. So I've actually recorded vlogs of me turning a property from a service accommodation to a rental rent before, and recording vlogs where I was just out restocking items that needed to be put into the service accommodation, that because sometimes the cleaners would just send me a list of things that I need to buy to restock, and I will go to like B&M's Home Bargains. I recorded that as well. So I'm just excited to. Only thing that's stopping me,
Did you post any of them?
I've only posted one, but it was in somebody else's account just to help them, but I haven't posted any. The only thing that's stopping me is just editing. I'm finding it a bit hard to navigate CapCut. So I'm probably just gonna look into finding someone that can actually edit some videos while I'm learning at the same time.
Because one thing about me is that when I'm scrolling through social media and I see a video of someone renovating a house, oh, I'm locked in. I watched the whole thing, and genuinely, it's interesting though to see that transition as well. So if you bring that property side into it, I don't think there's anything to lose.
No, exactly. And it's just like, I think content creating, what I used to do is actually just overthink it, but you can just record your day to day. Like yesterday, the same exam that I had today, which is called like an Oreo exam. I saw somebody on social media just make like a vlog out of going to do the exam. Like it's just like you can actually make videos out of nothing, like, and people will watch from the start to the end. So
Have you got any experience in digital marketing apart from, just posting blogs, making
um
them blogs?
no, and that's something that I'm actually quite excited to kind of like branch into and learn as I go. And I just have that confidence in myself that anything that I put my mind to is going to happen.
How do you plan on learning digital marketing then? What's your steps?
So one of my steps is that I actually have a friend of mine that I used to go to secondary school with, who's kind of in that digital marketing space. So I'm just willing to basically exchange my knowledge of property with her, and she can exchange her knowledge with digital marketing. So that's what I'm going to start off with. Obviously, utilize Google, utilize social media, utilize going to networking events and actually speaking to people and just throwing out the idea to them. And possibly they might know somebody, or they personally might have already um experienced digital marketing, and that's another great area to start. So as for starting, um, I kind of have a gauge of where to do that. Just planning my week, because I've just started fourth year of university. So it's been a bit hard to kind of like adapt, but as I'm adapting, as I'm calendar planning, it's definitely something I'll get into before the end of this year.
100%. At the start of the podcast, you mentioned that you use Sundays for planning. What does that look like? What does that day of planning look like?
So Sundays, if I'm not working, I'll probably go to church in the morning, and then when I come back, I will just grab my calendar and I would look and see. Um, I'll first add my uni lectures. I'll first add if I have scheduled my part-time job, and then I just basically fill in the blanks. Like if you're someone like I'm someone that likes to wake up early, so then because I'm by 10, 11 o'clock, you're probably speaking to sleepy Blessing, like, when it is ready to go to his bed. So, starting my day at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I know that, okay, from this time I can do this, from this time I can't do this because I'm occupied with this. And then I also like to do like a weekly review. I do that for myself, my business, and also with my partner as well. And we just basically talk about like what what went well during the week, what didn't really go so well, what do you want to do in this week that's a little bit different, or want to add to your calendar this week. And yeah, that's basically what I do. I just grab my planner, grab my notebook, and just do it.
If I was to start from scratch, how do I go about investing into property? How would I know which strategy to use?
Um, I think it would just depends on your initial capital investment. I feel like if your capital investment is a bit lower, I would say to maybe go for like rent to rent, because you probably wouldn't have to like renovate and add too much value to the property. You might just fix a few things so that it's in living conditions, but you wouldn't have to maybe add like designs to the wall and wall art and furnish the property, which can cost about like £1,000 to £2,000 already. So then if you're starting off with a lower capital investment, go off with rent to rent, start speaking to landlords, start speaking to tenants, start speaking to estate agents, just building rapport with them, and then just securing that first deal.
Can anyone do it?
I think anyone can do it, but not everyone will do it. So it's just that, just don't think about what everyone is doing, because maybe you might meet someone that was thinking about property 6 months, 1 year later, they haven't invested in one. But if you start, you might just end up with 4 or 5 by the end of the year.
I want you to take me back to the moment when you secured your first property deal. What was going through your head? How did you feel? I want to hear it all.
Yeah, it was an exciting time. It was my first, yes, it was my first, like, you know, I picked up the keys, walked in there, and I was just like, wow, okay, I've got this property. Where do I start? And but it was exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, like it was just those feelings where like I've put so much time, so much effort, so much hearing so many no's, and finally I'm here and I just need to start. So luckily by then, that's something another thing that people don't really take account to. I started building like a contact of painters, plumbers, carpenters, carpet fitters. Like I started building that from before I even secured the property. So then when I did secure the property, I called them up for the first 2, 3 days. There was like people coming in, and it wasn't just the one painter, it would be 2 or 3 painters coming in and giving me a quote. And I will now find out, okay, this person is a little bit more expensive, but I know that they will do a really good job because they're quite familiar with what I want, or, you know, they've been recommended by somebody. So it's just like I'll take a lot of things to account, and then that's when I'll start making the calls and be like, okay, when can you start? Let's get this rolling basically. And what helped me was like there's this period where you can actually negotiate with the landlord and be like, oh, landlord, Mr. Landlord, your property is not the best of conditions, and I would need maybe at least 2 or 3 weeks to just get you a little bit up to scratch. Can we do that? And then start the rent from this day, and it's called like a grace period basically. So I'll ask for that grace period, and some landlords will actually give me 2, 3 weeks to just get the property up to scratch, and then start the rent from whichever day we decide. So that's basically what I did. But yeah, it was very, very exciting times. Like I remember calling my boyfriend and my mom at the time, and just being so excited. I never told my friends actually. They found out like a couple of months later. Um I just brought them to the property, or some of them I just told them, oh, by the way, I started like an Airbnb business, and they're like, what? What? When? Since when? Like, and I'm just like, yeah, that's what I was up to. And I don't really like to tell people before, like, especially if I haven't really done much, like with the idea. So I just wanted to actually start it, see how it goes, and then share the good news with everyone.
You wanted to get the receipts first.
Yeah, honestly, because that was my first business. So imagine telling everyone, oh, by the way, I'm going into Airbnb, and then it just becomes a flop. Like,
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. There's a blessing. I'm gonna set a scene right now. Imagine, let's imagine that I've got a property that you're interested in. I'm the landlord, right? Tell me how you would convince me to rent out my property, right? I'm gonna throw in a couple of twists during this interaction. Yeah, but I just want to understand what you do and how you do it. So how would you approach me? Let's do it.
okay, so I would like, hi, Mr. Landlord. I saw your wonderful property on whether that's Gumtree or Opera, whichever. And I would basically want to propose the idea of renting a property through my company, Hosted Horizons. We basically take on properties from landlords for up to 3 to 7 years, guaranteeing them rent every single month, um, guaranteeing them guaranteeing your property with the top-notch management as well. We're looking to actually add value to your property. I don't know how long you've had this property, or whether you are looking to even sell your property.
I've had it for about 10 years. It's a bit.
Yeah, wow, fantastic that you've really kept up with this property. But what I would want to suggest is having this creating this hands-free business interaction with you, where you wouldn't have to worry about um if a tenant is not paying you money, or the general complaints that tenants normally call you for, or landlord, the fridge not working, or the cookies not working, or the boiler. I'm going to be the first point of contact to them, and that guarantees that hands-free um interaction with the property, where you can still come to the property whenever you would like to, with notice, of course. But it just gives you that peace of mind that your property is in the good hands.
I want to know who's gonna be staying at my property.
So my company, we actually vet every guest who comes into the property, and we normally look into getting working professionals. These are contractors, and then maybe I might point out, oh, can you see that that construction that is going on? There's contractors coming from London, Nottingham, that needs a place to stay for maybe 3 to 6 months, and that's what we actually provide for them. Some people, working professionals, that coming down to Birmingham to um for a conference or a training for a couple of days, and maybe there's a group of them, and they will actually rather stay um within themselves and stay together than staying in separate rooms in a hotel. Um we also have accommodate families who maybe are coming to visit or coming for a specific an event, and it's more ideal for a family to stay in one place, in one apartment, in one flat, than to stay to split and maybe stay in two rooms in a hotel. Instead, we're providing them with accommodation where they can actually cook their own meals, they can check in. We're quite flexible with the check-in times as well, as long as it doesn't interfere with the cleaners. And they can check out, they can park their car in a secure location. Like, the what we're providing to our guests is a no-brainer, but we do make sure that these are reliable, secure guests, and we do have a few things in place to make sure that we don't get any bad ones, or we can get rid of bad ones.
Right. How are you going to guarantee me the rent? What if something happens with your tenants?
Yeah, I won't lie to you and say that things don't happen with tenants. There's certain months where a tenant might not have the money at the specific time to pay me the rent, but I can guarantee, as and I can give you my word, with my company, regardless of it, we're still going to pay you the rent. That's our um that's our ethos. That is what we stand on, our word, and what we say we will do regardless of the situation.
Can you possibly pay 6 months upfront?
I normally So, Mr. Landlord, normally we actually just go month by month. There's some deals that I would pay 6 months in advance, but again, that just depends on my capital investment. But they will know.
No, don't worry about it. I'm sold. I'm sold. You can take it. You can take it. No, no, that was amazing. That was good. I like the way you try and I see the perseverance.
Yeah,
I see the perseverance. I love it.
yeah, thank you.
For the audience listening at home, just as a summary, can you summarize what you do?
So I I'm just a student and an entrepreneur. I'm studying pharmacy, but I'm also very, very invested in business, and what it can provide for myself, and what it can actually provide for my family. Looking to retire early, so I know that the only way to do that is actually investing in certain things. So that's just me, wrapped up in a ball, a student and an entrepreneur. Very soon to be a pharmacist and an entrepreneur.
Let's go. Come on. Right. Listen, as a closing tradition, what we always do on this podcast, every guest that comes on, we ask them if they've got any pain points in their business. It could be something as small as you might just need some advice on something, or you might need someone for a service. So it's your time to shine. It's your turn now. Blessing, is there anything, and I mean anything, that you want to ask from the audience, whether they can give you that advice or a service that you can use this opportunity now to ask them, and they'll get in touch with you?
Well, if anyone has a background in content creating, digital marketing, that side of things, then I will be 100% ready to collaborate with anyone, whether that's an exchange of knowledge or exchange of service. I don't mind. While you take me under your wing, I take you under your wing, and we kind of like grow together, build together. I don't mind that, or even just paying someone for a service. I just know that it's been something that's been on my mind for quite a while, and I just want to start and, you know, show the world that, blessing exists and I'm here thriving. So yeah.
Come on, guys, you've heard it yourself. Let's help her thrive. Let's help her business out. Blessing, where can people find you? What's your contact details?
So people can find me on TikTok is Miss Vara, Vara, and Miss as in MS underscore. They can also find me on Instagram, the same Miss, I think it's underscore Vara for that one, or Miss Vara underscore one of them. And they can email me. Um, they can email hostedhorizons@gmail.com. Horizons as in HORIZONS @gmail.com. Um, yeah, those are my social media handles and my email.
Guys, don't worry. We will put all of Blessing's details in the description below. Do not forget to drop her a follow on everything.
Thank you, guys.
And you know what? While you guys are at it, you might as well drop us a follow as well.
Yes, yeah.
Might as well.
Thank you.
No, Blessing. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today, and I really wish you nothing but the best of luck for the future with your property. Who knows? One day I might be renting out from you. You never know.
Who knows? Who knows?
You never know.
Founders Mindset Unfiltered podcast for having me today. I really appreciate the time, and I really admire the effort that you guys put in to showcase other business entrepreneurs. And I just wish you guys all the best and hope for more collaborations in the future.
Let's hope so. I hope so too. Just before we go, guys, to the audience listening at home, don't forget, we're not just on YouTube. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, anywhere. We're on TikTok, Instagram, with a new podcast every Wednesday at 5 a.m. That's in perfect time for your morning commute to work. So, just drop a like, drop a follow, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. Blessing, once again, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you again
Thank
next
you.
time. Thank you.
Bye.